Hey guys, today I want to show you this really good looking Toyota Rav4. This is a 2002 year. This is the second generation of the Rav4 and I think it's one of the better looking Rav4s. It's a fantastic looking car. I really like this styling. It's sporty and in the same way it's not an aggressive sort of car. It feels like you can drive this every day and people do use these as commuters all the time. It's probably the better looking Rav4 you can get. There's a lot of great things about this SUV, but there are a couple of things you need to watch out when you're buying a Rav4 from 2002 to 2004, and that is the transmission on these goes bad, and in this particular one the transmission is bad. The only reason it goes bad is because the ECU sometimes on these goes bad, and there was a recall for it. So if you didn't do the recall in time, the ECU tended to destroy the transmission. Typical plastic headlights. Nowadays everything is plastic, but you can see the haze building up. This is an old vehicle, but in the early 90s these vehicles had glass headlights, and they're still great even today, but these things, they're just worn out. There are ways of refinishing them and making them new again. A lot of these cars is this honey grille that looks very sporty, and at the same time it still looks contemporary because a lot of the modern cars have a much more aggressive honeycomb pattern everywhere. The new Lexuses and Toyotas have a large grille involving this pattern. This one is equipped with fog lights at the bottom. That's a nice feature. It makes it a lot safer to drive year-round. One of the things that's happening here with the Rav4 is that they covered this spare wheel with this plastic bit, and I think it looks good. It looks sporty. Most of the time you're not going to be using it, but the old version of the Rav4 had the wheel exposed, or they had like a flimsy sort of cloth shield over it. This one's much nicer, and you might not realize it, but once you open it, there are some really great benefits of having such a large door. But I don't like this large door because if you're in a parking lot and you parked in the front, if there's a car over here, you're not going to be able to swing this out this far to load up your groceries. So it's kind of useless in a way, but it does give you the opportunity to have a very low height to put things in here. So it comes about to my knees, so it's a very low carrying height for a vehicle, so you don't have to stress to put your items into the back. The door is humongous, and on the old Rav4 that I had, the hinge that supported this door started to wear out because it's such a heavy door. So this one comes with a little cargo net here in the rear door, and you have a bunch of like straps that came with the car. You can use them for beds. I'm going to remove this so you can get a little bit of a clear view of the usefulness of the trunk. There's a lot of people that like to use this SUV as a camper, and you can remove the seats, the rear seats, and you have a bed. You can put a bed in here. So most people of average height should be able to sleep in this thing. It's nice that like they have little compartments here to store various things. This is mostly used as tools, but there's also a place back here to access your rear taillight, and it even has a little strap, so if you have your toolkit in there, you can leave it there. A lot of people remove the toolkit from here because it makes noise when you're driving, and they put it under the seats. And then down here you have another little compartment with another net for storage. So this is like a big net that you would perhaps put across your trunk. So, and there's also like your toolkit, your jack in here. This left side, you do have another pocket to put your tools or whatever you need. That's a 12-volt socket. So why would anybody want a 12-volt socket in here? Well, one of the things is if you're camping or doing anything outdoors, it is nice to have some sort of electrical power source over here in case you have a generator or anything that you need, like a tire pump kit that you can put here. For me, I like this idea a lot because I can use it to charge electronics. If I'm out camping or something, I can leave something here and it'll be much more convenient. You know, as a camper, you can sit and it's very comfortable sitting here on this RAV4. Even if you were like camping with 2 people, you have enough room to camp over here. And just by having your dinner, you can have a little table. Come here, Sophie. This is my dog, Sophie. So you can have quite a nice time here. I don't really like this door, but it does give you the ability of having a very low height here, but I like the ability of just kind of like chilling out over here in the back of your car. I just don't like this big door, the way it swings out. One of the SUVs I really like is the Honda Element, and the Honda Element has got a tailgate, so it's kind of like a pickup truck. This one doesn't have that, but it does have different style. On the base of the RAV4, you have a lot of hooks. Like you have like a hook over here, a hook over here, one over here, one over here, one over here. So there's plenty of ways of tying your cargo down. And underneath here, Sophie, you wanna move a bit? Move backwards. You have more space underneath here. It's a little bit of a compartment to put your tools or whatever. And there's a hook there. So there's a lot of ways of putting your tools in here. Right here, that lifts up the seat. And we're gonna put the seat back. And I'm not gonna bother with the headrests, but you get the idea. So with the passenger seats up, you can see there's quite a bit of room in the rear still. You can load up quite a bit and go on a road trip. That's one thing I really like about Toyotas. The way they make them. You know, they're inexpensive cars at the time, but the interiors of Toyotas and Hondas with the cloth seats hold up really well. This is a fantastic looking cloth interior. It's subtle. Doesn't have that Miami Vice sort of coloring that the last RAV4 I had. The 96 RAV4 I had that blue tinge from the 80s in there, and it didn't look great, but they really did a great job styling this seat. This is the additional seat belt that you would use for a rear passenger. It kind of is tucked away in the rear part of the car, but it's an extremely good idea. If you have a family of 3 kids, having a car that can support occasionally that third person, usually it's going to be a very small person. So that's a really great feature to have, just the ability to have another passenger in the rear seats. Look how nice this door panel is. Even though it's an old car, this is barely as worn. And that's because Toyota made very inexpensive plastic, but I don't say cheap, because everything is holding up. It's like hard plastic. This is hard plastic, but it looks like it's rubber. There's cloth here, so the cloth is holding it extremely well. It's got power windows, power locks. It's got your speaker at the bottom, and you even have a compartment here. This is typical of Toyota, the round AC vents, but these vents work. They don't need anything, and they don't break. That's the great thing about this RAV4. Very simple design. I have a little coin slot. So this is the dimmer for the dash. This is your mirrors, power mirrors. This is a coin slot. You don't see that a lot in cars anymore. And at the bottom you have a security feature, which I don't really know much about. On the door you have your power locks and your power windows. At the bottom here you have a very large pocket to put folders, papers, and that sort of stuff. It's the automatic transmission, and this console is fairly nice. You do have a very small pocket here. It's not deep. It's a little deep, but not too big. I guess it makes sense, but it's kind of odd. You also have a little bit of a pocket here that's probably going to be used for change. Then you have another coin slot, and then you have your 12-volt AC right over here. And so over here, underneath the AC, you have a cigarette lighter tray, and then you have another 12-volt, which is the cigarette lighter, but not a lot of people smoke these days. And then you have a little pocket here. In a way, it's kind of I wish it was inclined going down because you could put your phone in there, but it's not a very convenient location. I don't see a lot of point to that. I wish it was covered because then you can put your registration in there. But the dash of this car is very simple. There's nothing much happening. The automatic transmission, generally on these Toyotas, it's very robust and very good, and it doesn't really break, except the early gens do have a bit of an issue. On the dash here, this is the stock Toyota unit, so it's very easy. It's very nice. Like, there's no issue at all. And one of the things I like is that the CD player radio unit is up top. Sometimes you have the AC up top, but what this lets you do is, if you are inclined, what you can do is take this unit out, and this one still has a cassette deck. You can remove it and put like an Android unit with maps and navigation. That way you don't have to clutter the entire car. It's a very good system. I like it up top because it's so much easier to put something that with GPS navigation here. And down here, and by the way, it's very easy to remove. I like that they put these 4 bolts here, and you can just pop this out. Normally you have to kind of like pry things open, but I'm glad that Toyota thought about it. Down here you have your AC button. You also have your recirculation. You have your clock here. You have your hazards. You have your rear defroster. And then here you have these knobs for your AC control. And then you have your high and low, and then the direction of the AC. So this is a very good system. Very easy to reach. You don't have to like go over here. I do like that Toyota made this very ergonomically comfortable for people. You know, I don't usually rave about cup holders, but this RAV4's got 2 cup holders here, and you would think, oh man, these are nice cup holders, nice and convenient. But they have another feature that I really enjoy. You can pull this tab down and it lets you adjust according to the cup. So it's a very nice system. You can even like reduce it in case you have some weird soda. But I love this idea that you can control the individual parts of the cup. In this car you have 2 airbags. So it's relatively safe, you know, like if you were to go a little bit older, you might only get like 1 airbag in the steering wheel, but this one's got 2. So up top you have your sunroof, and it's a very nice sunroof. And one of the things I like about this is that if you go out camping, you can put your head this way and you can kind of look up at the stars. If you're out west, you definitely want to do that. So, and you have the buttons here. You have the slide open. There we go. Of course you can close it, but it looks great. It's always a nice feature to have. And also it has the tilt up, which is nice. I think that's how you close it. Then you have your light, and here you have your sunglass holder. It's always nice. I don't know, or you could use it as a garage door opener as well. Put it to the side. You could just bring this out, and it's an additional shade, and there's one additional for the passenger as well. So that's a great little feature. I love that about these sunshades. One of the things I really like about this car is the ease of entering the car, and it's relatively almost like at the same level that you would be in like in a chair. So it's very easy to get in and out. And normally there's some cars that are slightly up or slightly down. This one's like a neutral. And the reason that's important is that, you know, I bought this from a lady who said she had knee problems, and I can see why this car would be a great car for that. But not only just for people that have, you know, issues with their knees. I can see that if you're an athlete or something and you're coming from a triathlon or something, you want to get a car. You want to get in your car and it's nice and comfortable. It just feels like a nice, comfortable place. This has that feeling. You know, it's got really great visibility when you're driving. It feels like you can see quite a bit, and it doesn't have the imposing stature that a lot of SUVs have. So this is You know, I had the 96 RAV4 and that was a great car. It was a 5-speed, but I do like how this one looks a lot more. It's a lot more contemporary and it looks almost as if it could be a 2020. It does look very stylish. And this one only has 116,000 miles, which is kind of a shame that the transmission on this is bad. It needs to be replaced, and one thing you need to keep in mind is that the ECU, if it's not replaced on these early models, it tends to destroy the transmission, and that's what happened with this. So the key now is to figure out a way to get a nice cheap transmission and drop it in here. But this makes a great vehicle. I really like it. It's so stylish looking. It's got cruise control. It's very simple. It doesn't have major issues other than the transmission. If you had a good transmission, this car would be just still on the road without having any issues. The car is very easy to start. And this thing is a fantastic car. It's really like one of the better looking RAV4s and I really enjoy it. Like, I think if it didn't have the transmission problem, this thing could fetch for quite a lot of money, especially with these low miles. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it and I will see you in the next video. Bye.